Breeders and #X27, Cup 2018 Profiles. Ben Linfoot looks at all of the European hopes on Saturday and #X27 S-card. Ben Linfoot rates every member of a 23-strong European rating party on the Saturday of the 35th Breeders' Cup at Churchill Downs. It's a case of quality and quantity for the Europeans at the Breeders' Cup on Saturday. John Gosden's star duo Roaring Lion and Enable head the team, and they are backed up by a fine supporting cast including the likes of Polydream, Magical and Wild Illusion. With 23 European-trained horses in action on the main day of the Breeders' Cup, it's a numerically strong squad as well, and the forecast rain that could fall in large quantities on Thursday suits some of the rating party but not others. Here, Ben Linfoot assesses all of the European Saturday raters, allotting his star ratings to each and every one, as the away team bid for a night of success at Churchill Downs. Trainer, John Gosden. Sky Bet odds, 8-1. It's unusual for the European team captain to be a 21 shot on the morning line odds, but that's what we have with Roaring Lion in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Yes, he's won 4 Group 1s on the trot, but the dirt surface is alien to him. He's not bred for it, and this is very much an afterthought. Such races are not won on a whim and a prayer. However, he has displayed courage and class throughout the season in Europe, and those two qualities could serve him well. Eurostars, he's not quite Newcastle United to win the league odds, but I would love it. Love it, if he beat the Americans in their own backyard, for the man partly responsible for them ripping up the synthetic surface they used a couple of times 9 years ago. Trainer, Aidan O'Brien. Sky Bet odds, 9-1. Unlike Roaring Lion, Mendelssohn's whole year has been campaigned around this one race. Since his remarkable UE Derby romp at Emden in March, Aidan O'Brien has pointed the son of Scat Daddy at this contest, although things didn't go so well the last time he was at Churchill Downs in the Kentucky Derby. A sloppy track contributed to his last place finish that day, so the forecast thunderstorms are not good news for this fellow, even if he has slowly built on his dirt form on his 3 trips to the United States since July. Runs on Lasix, as all of O and #X27 Brian and #X27 S horses will. Eurostars, if you could trust the Dubai form, he'd have another star or two, but his subsequent American dirt efforts are some way off the required standard, and a supporting role at best looks most likely once again. Trainer, Saeed bin Suroor. Sky Bet odds, 10-1. Saeed bin Suroor's charge shouldn't be a bigger price than Mendelssohn. While Aidan O'Brien's horse won a Group 2 at Emden Carnival, Thunder Snow was strutting his stuff in the Dubai World Cup and beating West Coast, a major BC Classic player, by almost 6 lengths in the process. After a break he reappeared with a blowing the cobwebs away last in Roaring Lion's Judmondi International, and then he beat Mendelssohn, by almost 2 lengths, win second in the Jockey Club Gold Cup Stakes at Belmont Park. Eurostars, his dirt form is good, form figures are 11 heat 2-1-2-1-2 on the surface, but, like Mendelssohn, he has some Churchill Downs demons to exorcise. While Mendelssohn was last in this year's Kentucky Derby, Thunder Snow wasn't even that good the year before, bucking and kicking his way to being pulled up after a furlong. No horse has ever won the Dubai World Cup and BC Classic in the same year. Trainer, John Gosden. Sky Bet odds, 4-7. Even if you're not quite sure about John Gosden's claim that Enable won the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe 85% fit, there's no getting away from her European banker status at this year's extravaganza. She's quite clearly the best horse in the race. Her draw in 2 is a kind one, and any easing of the ground is in her favor, too. In fact, a rattling quick round turf might have asked her a question or two, but now, well, it's very difficult to envisage anything but a Frankie Dettori flying dismount. Eurostars, the queen of European racing, no horse has ever won the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe and the turf in the same season, but Enable looks highly likely to quash the trend here. After just 2 runs this year, she's as fresh as she can be on the back of an Arc win, and there will be some long faces if Enable is unable to do the business. Trainer, Andre Faber. Sky Bet odds, 12-1. A 14-1 winner of the turf a year ago at Del Mar, He looked a natural around the tight turns in Southern California. Out of a mare that won at the track, he loved the fast ground, as well, so it hasn't been a great surprise he hasn't replicated that form back in Europe since. He did finish a good second in Hong Kong on his final start last year, though, further evidence he thrives on international racing, so a season's best could well be forthcoming. Eurostars, Talismanic is the sort of horse that looks made for the Breeders' Cup, and in an ordinary year he would probably be fancied. But this ain't no ordinary year with Enable in opposition, and if the rain falls that would be a detriment to his chance as well. Trainer, Andre Faber Sky Bet odds, 5-1 a stablemate of Talismanic. He beat his yard pal in a slowly run edition of the Prix Foy, a dress rehearsal for the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, back in September. That was his fourth win on the bounce, and he ran a respectable fourth in the Arc itself, proof that his master trainer had squeezed more ability out of him since his promising, but, ultimately, winless campaign as a 3-year-old. He had a wider draw than Enable in the Arc and was a little short of room a quarter of a mile from home, but, even so, it's difficult to imagine him reversing the form. Eurostars, there are no convincing reasons as to why he should reverse Arc form with Enable, especially given he's drawn in 12 here with the market leader favorably berthed in 2. Trainer, Aidan O'Brien Sky Bet odds, 6-1 now, Magical. She could be the one to give Enable most to do. The only other filly in the race, she's thriving at just the right time and put in a career-best performance last time out to beat another Gosden hotpot in La Tidar in the Fillies and Mares on Kipco British Champions Day at Ascot. Beaten just over 5 lengths by Enable in the Arc prior to that, she had a wide draw in France and it was very much a building block, being her first go at 1M4F. Eurostars, she's at the top of her game right now and has a nice draw in 5, so will be much better positioned to threaten Enable than she was at Longchamp. If the favorite is off her game for whatever reason, Magical could well be the one to take advantage. Full replay and reaction. Magical defeats John Gosden and number 39 S duo to win the Fillies and Mares at Ascot. Champions Day https://t.co/omegafnkeypick.twitter.com/4nvmz9c Trainer, Aidan O'Brien Sky Bet odds, 41 a Royal Ascot winner by over 4 lengths and relatively lightly raced for a Ballydoyle 3-year-old at this stage of the campaign, had just 11 career starts. There are reasons to consider Hunting Horn in your exotics. Reasons to leave him out of calculations include him never winning over 1M4F from 3 goes, a poor 16-length 16th in the Arc last time, and a draw in 13 that makes the hardest of tasks even harder. Eurostars, wide draws in the turf have been overcome before, including by Highland Reel, an ex-stablemate of Hunting Horn, who made all from stall 12 at Santa Anita a couple of years ago. However, Hunting Horn doesn't have the form to reasonably expect such a maneuver, especially against a behemoth like Enable. Ryan Moore, who turns 35 today, brought his Royal Ascot tally up to 50 with a win on Hunting Horn in the Hampton Court Stakes in June. Pick.twitter.com/84ubcliz Trainer, William Haggis Sky Bet odds, 10-1 a shock winner of the Prix de la Fort last time. William Haggis filly shouldn't be underestimated because of her big odds in France. A 33-1 winner at Longchamp, she admittedly benefited from Polydream having nowhere to go up the rail, consequently meaning her wide draw in 15 became more of a positive than it was deemed before the race. However, that was just her 8th career start. She shaped as though another furlong could bring about further improvement, and she certainly won't mind the thunderstorms. Eurostars, well drawn in 1 and any ease in the ground will be an advantage. She has to step up on the bare form but is unexposed enough to do so, and she has to enter calculations, for your combo trifecta at least. Trainer, Freddie Head Sky Bet odds, 9/4 Freddie Head is a man synonymous with success in the Breeders' Cup Mile. He won it as a jockey twice aboard Maersk in 1987 and 1988, and then 3 times as a trainer with Goldie Kova from 2008 to 2010. It might just be his favorite race. So it's not really a surprise to see Polydream rooted here, running in the same Wertheimer silks that Goldikova carried to glory. This her first go back at a mile since she was last in the Plodeside Duplicas back in May. Eurostars, she's had just 7 starts, one of which was a tremendous win in a hot renewal of the Prix Maurice de Gustave in August. That proves she's got pace and lots of it, something that could be a crucial weapon in this race. She got no luck in the fort last time, but a kinder passage from stall 4 could well see her gain the ultimate recompense. Trainer, David Simcox Sky Bet Odds, 16-1 gained a deserved top-level success in the Sussex Stakes in August, breaking his G1 duck at the 16th attempt. However, well beaten in 2 subsequent goes at the highest level, and his optimum conditions include faster ground than he's likely to get at Churchill Downs on Saturday. Draw 11 doesn't help his cause, either. Eurostars didn't really cut the mustard on his international travels to Shotton at the end of last year, and he's not fancied for his Breeders' Cup debut on the back of 2 below-par runs, especially with rain in the air. We are still beaming after Lightning Spear and number 39's much-deserved Sussex Stakes win 2 weeks ago. At Breeders' Cup Mile next for him? #GloriousGoodwood #QGFPick.twitter.com/itm7neo. A trainer, Sir Michael Stout Sky Bet Odds, 7-1. Another that looks ideal for a normal California-type Breeders' Cup where the sun is shining on rattling fast ground. That's what he wants. So any rain wouldn't be ideal. He hasn't won in 3 previous attempts at a mile, either, but again, he looks to have the necessary speed for a normal American mile. He's actually run well his last 2 efforts over the trip, and he should get the strongly run race that suits him so well. Frankie Dettori is on board, and he won on him the only other time the duo were paired together in the Sky Bet City of York Stakes at the Ebbauer Festival. Eurostars, if it wasn't for the thunderstorms he'd rate higher, but he needs everything in his favor to win over a mile, and any rain would certainly be a negative to his chance. Trainer, Sir Michael Stout Sky Bet Odds, 21. This is the 16th run of Mustachery's career, but his first at the top level. However, he's deserved a crack at a Group 1 on the back of 2 recent Group 2 wins at Doncaster and Newmarket, a pair of career best efforts. Whether he'll be nippy enough for a Breeders' Cup Mile is a reasonable enough question given he's won over 10 furlongs, and that's before we've asked whether he's good enough. He probably isn't. Eurostars, in the form of his life recently, but it still looks below the required standard, and it's to be expected that 3 or 4 of these will be too quick for him around the turns. Sir Michael Stout adds a 4th Shadwell Joel Stakes to his CV courtesy of Mustachery. The 5-year-old makes amends for a disappointing performance in last year and number 39's race. Results https://t.co/7ijipstaspick.twitter.com/tv0 SSI. Trainer, Aidan O'Brien Sky Bet Odds, 9-1. This time last year happily was sent off the 9/4 favorite for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies turf, but she finished last of the 14 at Del Mar and hasn't won since. However, that doesn't quite tell the full story. She was twice a Group 1 winner at 2, and she's run consistently well all of this year, finishing placed in a couple of top-level races, including when ahead second to Lawrence in the Sun Chariot last time. She's versatile ground-wise, and more of a concern, like with Mustachery, is that she simply won't be quick enough. Eurostars, her runner-up finish in the Sun Chariot last time was a career best run, and one of her Group 1 wins as a juvenile came in the autumn of last year. She could well be coming to a peak, but she does look vulnerable to a speedier horse with a potent turn of foot. Trainer, Aidan O'Brien Sky Bet Odds, 10-1. Of the Aidan O'Brien trio, I prefer I Can Fly. A 1,000 guineas gamble back in May, that punt went astray after she finished 11th, but she's gradually worked her way to her best subsequently. O'Brien lowered her sights in August, and she responded with an emphatic listed win, before scoring at Group 2 level at Leopardstown in the Boomerang Stakes. Only 4th in the Sun Chariot, it could be that she just doesn't get on with Newmarket, and she got within the neck of Roaring Lion in the Kai. A performance that suggested she's now the sort of miler the lads thought she was prior to the Guineas. Eurostars, that Kyle effort gives her a fine shout, and she won't mind the thunderstorms. Whether she has the class and the toe to beat a Morris Degas winner like Polydream is open to debate, but I can see her running her close. Trainer, Aidan O'Brien. Sky bet odds, 15 halves. There's no getting away from it. Gustav Klimt has been disappointing this season. Sent off 4-1 for the 2000 Guineas, he was 6th there and hasn't won in 7 attempts since. Plenty of his BC Mile rivals have beaten him before, including one master last time, and his draw in 13 is less than ideal as well. It's surprising Ryan Moore is on him, but that's definitely factored into his price at around 10-1 as he hasn't got an awful lot else going for him. Eurostars. He was a bit short of room in the fort and ran well enough the time before in the Haydock Sprint Cup, but the excuses are wearing thin for Gustav Klimt. His losing run has extended to 8 now and, while he won't mind easing of the ground, he doesn't even look the most likely winner from his yard. Trainer, Gavin Cromwell. Sky bet odds, 14-1. It's great to see Gavin Cromwell at the Breeders' Cup, a trainer best known for winning the Welsh Grand National with the teenage Raz de Marie back in January. That will surely change if Princess Isa wins the Filly and Mare Turf and she goes there on the back of a game victory in the Prix de Royal at Longchamp last time, just getting the better of Palombe after a fierce battle inside the final furlong. Eurostars. She's gutsy and on the up and she stays well, but another big leap forward is required here if she's to trouble the market principles. Raz de Maria and famous Millie home safe and sound from Chepstow. Raz full of the joys of life after his Chepstow heroics and thankfully Millie is fine. Pic.twitter.com/2rvix